Welcome to AntopiaUSA. On this week's episode, we're going to do something pretty risky that has some incredible results. We're going to try to fuse two colonies of true polygynous myrmecocystus mendax. For the purpose of this video, we will refer to this colony as the layer colony, as they are in a layer nest from Tar Heel ants. And then we will refer to this colony as the tube nest colony. The tube nest colony has 4 queens and around 15 to 20 workers, and the layer nest has around 20 workers and 2 queens. Right here is where the layer colony discovers the outworld of the tube nest colony and the entrance to the tube nest colony. The closer they get, almost immediately the tube nest colony reacts. They send a worker out and they meet. As you can see here, there's no actual violence involved. It looks like it's just show of dominance. They're kind of checking themselves out to see who is the stronger worker. But again, you don't see any type of formic acid spraying or nipping of any kind, which is pretty rare to see in myrmecocystus. As the tube nest colony gets more riled up, more workers become alerted that something's going on at the front door. Now, as you can see here, they're all getting pretty excited. This will be 2 tube nest workers versus 1 layer worker. As you can see, she's holding her ground, doing some dominant posturing. And this continues for quite some time as more workers exit the tube nest. I will give it to this layer worker. She does not give up on any type of form. See her posturing there, raising her gaster up in the air, trying to make herself appear bigger, I would assume. Again, this is amazing when there's more workers from the tube nest coming out than there is the layer nest, and there's no type of violence involved, no biting, no nipping, no formic acid. As a layer nest worker works her way through the different posturing of each worker that comes out, it's almost as if she's trying to inch closer to the entrance. This is where we first see a tube nest worker try to approach the layer's entrance. She is met with a worker from the layer who is not liking what she's trying to do. Here again, they are just kind of posturing, figuring each other out. As you see back over here, the original layer nest worker is still holding her ground, greeting and posturing with all the tube nest workers that are exiting, and more are coming out as time goes on. Now here's where things started to really get hairy for a minute. The nest entrance for the tube nest, it just really started to flood with a lot of workers, and they were very excitable. And again, it's still the original layer nest worker that is holding her ground at the tube nest entrance. Now, as tensions rise at the layer nest entrance, these 2 workers get in a tussle and a tug of war. As you can see here, the layer nest worker is actually dragging the tube nest worker back towards the layer. I'm not sure if this is to have better numbers and reinforcements, or if she's actually trying to drag her into the colony to begin the fusion. Now at this moment, this is the first time a tube nest worker has broken free of the layer's entrance and actually made it inside the layer. The first of either side to enter the other's nest. When she's met by a layer nest worker from the inside of the nest, things get a little intense here for a second, and it's more of the mandibles opening and just really checking each other out, but again, no violence is initiated. The worker you can see here is actually a tube nest worker under the bottom side of the queen. Here's where things get even more interesting. The brood raiding has begun, and it's the tube nest has started taking brood from the layer nest. But one small thing, the layer nest is not going down without a fight. As you see here, they are transferring the brood back in between nests as the layer nest workers scramble to try to get the brood back, and the tube nest workers scramble to try to take the brood. This game of cat and mouse with the brood actually goes on for quite a few days. And every time I see the tube nest workers in the lair, you can see the queen kind of opening her mandibles and doing other things to show that she's not quite comfortable yet. So you see here, this is one of the tube nest workers with a big clutch of eggs trying to deposit it into the tube nest. As you can see in this shot, that is a tube nest worker on the back of a lair nest queen's gaster. And I'm not sure exactly what she's doing, but there's times when they're doing this to the queens that they do not seem excited about it. At this point, I had returned from work to find all the queens in one nest. They were in the tube nest. Although the two layer queens were not in the same chamber as the tube nest queens, one being in a whole separate tube. And now you can see that this queen, original layer nest queen, is kind of in a sticky situation where the tension seemed to be rising. And here is probably the most acts of aggression I've seen in this whole process. As you can see, the queen is really on edge trying to get away from some of these nips and tugs. And I'm not sure if those are acts of violence on the tube nest workers or if they're just trying to move her into the actual queen's chambers. So this would be the 5th day of the experiment, and it would appear that the queens are a little more comfortable inside the tube nest, but they are still not in the queen's chambers. Interesting thing to point out that all of these workers, half of them are from the original layer nest and half from the tube nest, but they are all acting the same. Now this would be the last day of the experiment. I would say fusion is pretty successful. We have 5 queens in one chamber, and the one queen that probably went through the most trouble, she is still in the center chamber of the tube. All in all, I would say this is a completely successful experiment. We'll have to keep an eye on the colony in the future to see how they progress and if any queens die or seem to be kicked out of the colony. I believe this is the first time a honeypot colony has ever been fused anywhere outside of the lab. Thank you guys for watching another video by AntopiaUSA. Remember to go check out the website, www.AntopiaUSA.com. And like and subscribe to our channel, and let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Our next video will be a colony update on the colony we moved into the lair after this one was evacuated. And let us know if there's any colonies specifically that you'd like to see, because for future videos, we are just going to do updates on colonies that require an update. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.